wine country, postcard views, and no shortage of very good restaurants. But let me be honest with you, a lot of them could sit comfortably in any cosmopolitan city, London, New York, or Paris. They're polished, European style, and predictable. If I was to describe them in one word, I would say that she's nice. But to know me, babes, is to know that I like a little bit more than just nice. And then there's this place, Post and Pepper, the first restaurant that introduced me to Cape Malay cuisine. I came here with zero expectations. It was near staying and it had incredible reviews online. I didn't know what to expect. As a guest judge on MasterChef UK, I don't just eat food, babes. I read it, I analyze it, I think a little bit more deeply. So let me bring you some of those vibes to this lunch. Whenever I'm dining with my girls, people always presume that I'll need kids' food. Put us some potatoes, I think might have been fries, and I quickly explain that my girls, these are little food connoisseurs, babes. They only eat adult food, and my darling, they eat more than I do. So we indulged in a 3-course sharing menu. For starters, there was charred ciabatta, heirloom tomato salad, labna, Mediterranean herbs, real olive oil. Then there was Cape seed loaf, whipped, cultured by Bray Brugi. I hope I've said that right, babes. Chip and dip, something that is found often at a braai on the weekend. Their signature crispy and sticky pork lollipops, doenjang glaze, I hope I've said that right, charred spring onion dip. That dip was heavenly. It was aerated, light, and months later, I'm still thinking about it. During this season, it seems like labna is on everyone's menus, but that heirloom tomato salad, sliced thinly like carbo, was perfect with our charred. The only thing I'm not sure is this trend of serving food on things that are inedible. In this case, it was pearl barley. And I love me a bit of pearl barley, babes, but just not raw. However, I'll say that what do I know? The presentation was stunning. To know me is to know my children are still screen-free, which means that they have zero distraction and we can make funny faces as much as we like. But that eating without distraction is super important. For me, a meal without talking, engaging, and bonding is just food, babes, not a long-lasting memory. For mains, we had Cape Malay prawn served with roti, curry aioli, curry leaf, pickled onion, then tuna ceviche, mango and lime achar, coconut, green chili, curry leaf. Pork and kimchi dumplings, kimchi dressing, lime leaf, apples, sunflower, chili crisp, crackling, and curry leaf. When I saw the roti hit the table, I was a little confused. My girls even said, oh, it's like being in Malaysia. And then the curry sauce, I was like, what is going on here? Cue Cape Malay cuisine. This food comes from enslaved people brought to South Africa from Indonesia, Malaysia, India, and East Africa during the 17th century. They brought with them spices, technique, and soul. What you get with this food is deeply aromatic, layered with turmeric, coriander, cumin, but also slightly sweet, slightly tangy, super complex. It's not trying to be bold, my darling. It just is. And somehow I find that here in Stellenbosch, but that is my ignorance. I don't consider food like this fusion. To be honest, that word makes me cringe a little when it comes to food. I think of it more as giving perspective, that the heritage, the spice, the flavors of Cape Malay cuisine simply creates the lens through which they shape their menu. I also stay away from words like elevated in this sense because it implies that one is better than the other. And I am sure that the home-cooked or the street food version of Cape Malay cuisine delivers these flavors and even more. However, I like to see food presented in all of the environments, from the polished, glitzy restaurants like this, but I'm also the biggest fan of the raw, or you might say rough and ready version. Now, I don't play when it comes to bread of any kind, whether it's a flatbread roti or a baked loaf. For the girls, bread is new, babes. It is intentional. It's not for everyday eating. Not because I can't make it, I absolutely can, but I'm not trying to fill my kids on empty calories when there's more nutritionally dense carbs available. So what this means is, since they turned the age of 4 and we've been traveling the world, they have been exposed to breads of all kinds and cultures. It's been reserved for outdoor eating, and this bread was 100% worth it. My girls were in there, as was I. That roti was perfect to mop up all of the sauce. I love my spices. A lot of times when I'm eating fine dining foods, I think, ooh, a little flavor would go a long way. And when I say spice, I don't just mean heat, although they did not skimp on that either. The flavor of each dish was powerful, unexpected, and complete. The chef told me that for some, it's actually overwhelming. Diners have actually criticized that they thought it was all too much. Well, babes, I love me some over the top, whether it's on my plate or in my conversation or just my general vibe. So I was absolutely in my element and I wouldn't have changed a thing. For me, each dish, the flavors all told a story and gave the restaurant an identity. When I used to have my restaurants, I would always tell my team that it's okay not to satisfy everyone, that we can't be all things for all people, especially when you're trying to do something different and go against the grain. Each plate was stunning and these dumplings were absolutely divine, but the little bits of crackling on top, babes, yes, they were not just there for style and fashion, they were there for crunch, they were there for a little salty edge, and they were definitely a highlight dish. The thing I loved most about this meal is that no dish felt like it was a filler. No dish felt like it was there just because it needed to make up the numbers, but it felt like it was just effortlessly there because it added to the whole story. And ultimately, it just oozed confidence. By now, you realize that my children eat absolutely everything from raw fish to chilies and all of their greens. But honestly, going out to eat with my children is such a pleasure because of this. I don't think that I could handle having a picky eater at the table. No, none of this. Oh no, I'm not trying. Absolutely no beige food over here, babes. And in case you're wondering, although I do not feed my children any ultra-processed foods or added refined sugars, when I go to a restaurant, I do not ask ridiculous questions. I have been in this industry long enough to know that restaurants have enough to deal with rather than annoying mothers asking what oil they use in the fryer. So absolutely, I am aware that I have no control over what they eat out, but I am at peace with that. Now let's get on to the sweet stuff. It was a chocolate and sesame choux bun, whipped milk chocolate ganache, dark chocolate cremo, tahini and miso, and halva ice cream. I was asked if I wanted another glass of wine with my dessert, and I opted for an espresso martini instead. Chocolate and coffee? Perfect match. This part of the meal is adults only, and whilst I have had enough cremos in my life because that too was on my menu, I have not had it paired with tahini and miso. I'm loving this umami salty combination. I think sweet and savory is the perfect duo and not just for dessert. Most people skimp on that pinch of salt that just takes everything over to that harmonious edge, and this delivered on it all. It had texture, it had creaminess, it had everything that I want from my last bite. So whilst Stellenbosch has incredible restaurants, many of them could exist anywhere. Beautiful food, technically sound, but also familiar. This experience at Post and Pepper, however, felt rooted. It told a story, and as a chef, as a judge, as a mother of two food connoisseurs, this was something that I will remember for a long time. Next time you're in South Africa, definitely pay them a visit. My darling, you're welcome.